had an opportunity?
Yeah, I would say my summer kind of officially starts now. Just and that I guess that's kind of a smudge of a lie because it's nonstop. We're still. I mean, last night I was up until 11 o'clock recruiting and making sure people had their flights all together and information. And we're already starting cross country training. And I mean, I got 7 messages. Hey, coach, can we talk about summer training or want to throw this idea at you and see what you think? And so it's slowing down, but it's officially summer break and I'm home and I'm gonna sleep in my own bed and tomorrow, I've got a list of like, hey, this is what you need to do with the kids and this and that, and I'm looking forward to that. But then always gotta have our ear to the ground and who else is out there? Who can we find? And yeah, since I mean, I dropped the individual off at 5 this morning, and that's when it started. I mean, I've been on my phone nonstop and just almost business deals, if you will, of who can we get and the transactions of and the repercussions, the positives and the negatives from last week and carrying over. There will be a week this summer for sure that the phone will be tucked away and away, and the laptop will not be near me at all. Just being a husband and a father, and I'm ready for that as well.
Right on. All right, we are live with the University of Cumberland's director of cross country and track and field, back again with a quick turnaround. Coach Bradley Sowder, how are you, sir?
Man, I'm good, guys. I'm good. Knowing the reason why we're discussing and meeting again, I'm great.
Yeah, well, we are ecstatic to have you back, and we are really happy for you and the team and the program. And I want to thank you, give you some flowers, and thank you for um, this past weekend was the first time that I was probably fully invested in paying attention to an entire track meet from afar in a very long time. And we had the coaches from Wingate on, so we were following along with Division 2 as well. But we were really excited to watch the NAIA Track and Field Championships from Indiana Wesleyan this past weekend, and seeing all the good stuff coming from the Cumberlands. And really thank you for reigniting my inner track geek in paying attention. And then also, I want to thank you, but also the fans of the University of the Cumberlands and track and field program, because you guys have showed up, the support that your fans have given you for the content that we put out with you, and the likes and the subscribers and that sort of stuff is unbelievable. We also had a young gentleman from the Life University. He was a two-time national champion in wrestling, and the support that the NAIA programs is unmatched. We've had quite a few Division 1 programs on, and we'll get a little bit of traction, but the traction that we got from your stuff has been really uplifting to us as content creators and podcasters and people that are trying to promote programs like yours. So thank you for that, but also thanks to your fans and your supporters because they showed up and showed out for you. So thank you.
Man, that's awesome to hear, and I think it goes to I think the NAI, especially and I can only speak for the track and field, but I've been keeping up with baseball and softball this week. We had a men's team in it and a women's team in the softball, and man, it's just as a collective is it is has elevated to a whole new level that I don't think majority of the landscape is aware of. And those who are involved in it, I mean, they really push and advocate for it. Like the track and field meet at the indoor and outdoor nationals, like especially outdoors, man. Like I sit there and I'm a fan of the sport, but obviously I'm invested into this program and the identity of the NAI. But I was like, man, I mean, the last time, the eighth place time, excuse me, in the men's 100 was 10.30. Like you've had to run, and that guy didn't get an All-American. He runs 10.3.
Oh, we,
We lose him?
I think he's back.
Are you there?
Yes,
We're
sir.
there.
Oh, it went blank for a second. Dang. but like I was saying, like this man went 10.3 and then bless his heart, like he walked away with no points, no All-American medals. I mean, it's just a really, really solid meet. And as a fan of the sport, you're looking at all landscapes and all disciplines of the sport, and it's like, man, this is it. Again, my best friend, who was my college coach and now one of our assistant athletic directors, BJ Temple, he's at the meet. He was there for several years. He's been out of it for several years now, but he's like, man, this is not what it was when I was coaching. And he coached a 145 guy, one of my teammates, Anthony Cabarra, and it's just like, it just has elevated so quickly and so much. And but I think there's a lot of people who are like, hey, we're here and we're relevant, and they kind of rally around that and promote it. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why we want to have people like yourself and promote programs like you, because track and field and cross country is one of those sports, unlike I think any other sport in high school or specifically collegiate athletics, where, like you said, the stopwatch doesn't lie.
Yeah.
10-3 is 10-3, and that's going to get
Yeah.
it done in a lot of places and a lot of
At the end of
levels.
the day, we talk about like you're competing against yourself and how fast or how far or how high can you go, and that's what you really should be comparing yourself to, and comparing ourselves to others, and we lose sight of the main focus here.
Yeah.
Coach, speaking about that level of the NAIA track and field meet kind of going up, I caught a clip of you talking after the meet, and it was close the whole time through. You didn't know if you guys were going to pull it off. Speak a little to that, how that kind of roller coaster went throughout. It was a week, went throughout the week, and how you kind of managed that.
Yeah. So it's 3 days. So everything starts on Wednesday through Friday, and you know, I think we have a tendency to compare and contrast everything. And so indoors, like we went in extremely confident indoors. There was somebody who once said, with the indoor, like we could have took half our men's program and we still would have won on paper with the amount of points that we accumulated. I was extremely confident indoor. I was just as confident outdoor, but I knew it wasn't going to be as, and I hate to use this word, but as easy, maybe as predictable would be the more appropriate word, as indoor was. Marion, I'm standing right beside them, all indoor, just watching this team, and I remember again Dr. Temple just telling him, I was like, man, this program is more suited for the outdoor meet because there's a change in events, there's a change in the program and the scheduling, and I'm watching this program and I'm watching just the personnel they have. And it's like we've got to be mindful of them. We got to be mindful of Madonna as well, who really came on late in the season around conference. I'm like, this is a dominating program, and then British Columbia brings in a whole new aspect that you don't see in the out or in the cross country and indoor. They only compete in the NAI outdoors, and so it's like we got to keep our eyes on them. And then you always have your main kind of contributors, Indiana Tech and William and Carey and Southeastern and all these other ones. But Marion, I mean, I remember walking away from indoors like, man, this is cool, but we need to start planning for that program. And they have several things going for them. One, their director is retiring, so that, I mean, the men really want to showcase and send this gentleman out on the high. We got to have a plan for that program. And then you throw in Sylvia, who is the most talented guy out there, and who can literally turn this thing upside down from Oklahoma City. Like on papers, like this kid is talented enough, legit enough that he could score 40 points by himself. Historically, somewhere between 50 to 60 is what you need to win this meet. And so it's like, okay, there's just a lot of new dynamics. And that we're having to take into place. And on paper, we're 20 points ahead. But I knew, and I was telling the entire coaching staff and the athletic department, I was like, it's going to be within 10 points. And honestly, if I'm betting, it's going to be within 5 points of who wins this thing. And I really felt that it was going to come down between us and Marion. And so Wednesday, it doesn't go according to plan, and we have to prepare for that. Not it's not going to go just smooth sailing. But it seems like, man, everything's kind of just fallen in place for Marion, and we left some points on the table. And so I walk away Wednesday, it's mixed emotions. You're talking about like the ups and downs. We go from, we got a young man who should be scoring points in the 10K, and he scores nothing. And then Alina Bostic, she wins the 10K. And so it's just like I go from like, crap, what the heck just happened to like, oh my gosh, this is what this young lady came here to do and accomplish. And I mean, you could see it on her face. And we have Elka, she goes from making the final indoors and then she's dead last in the final to like kind of this redemption campaign this whole entire outdoor season and finishes fifth in the 10K. And Luca Medeo, he's a true freshman. He's an All-American outdoors, indoors, and cross country. And so it's just managing all this, been like I'm spending my days and I'm spending my nights. I'm up until 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. And I'm just analyzing. Everything has a mathematical equation. So it's like, okay, how do we get these points back? Where did maybe we go wrong, or where did I go wrong in particular? And man, what's Marion doing? What's these other teams doing? And then we come into Wednesday, and it's like, all right, Wednesday or excuse me, Thursday, the day two, like race walk. Race walk's a very strong event for us. And again, it just doesn't accumulate the amount of points that on paper we're thinking we're going to accumulate. And here again, Marion just has a phenomenal day. And I'm like, you got to like, luck is a part of the equation, and it doesn't seem luck is in our equation. And not to take away from anything that Marion did, but it's like, man, everything's going their way. And it's just like, I got up Friday, honestly, and man, I have a group message with Dr. Temple and my wife, my two closest best friends. And it's like, man, like I do not want to lose. And I'm kind of having this come to Jesus moment. I'm again in a Starbucks drinking coffee, and I finally am able to process. It's like I want to win, not to win, but not to have to experience what losing feels like. And that is enough for me to keep driving and wanting to win and wanting to press the envelope. But I'm trying to like almost counsel myself. It's just like, man, we have so much to celebrate, even if we're not raising that bigger trophy or we're not getting that banner, and we are deemed as the second place team. I mean, our women are kicking butt. I mean, our women finished sixth. That's the best they've ever done. The best before that was 30th, and they're only a handful of points away from the podium. We have our first outdoor national champion, only our second national champion on the women's side ever in the existence of the program. First time we've ever had multiple All-Americans. I mean, they're doing great. Our men, as much as maybe we're not accumulating the point total that we thought, we're having some really solid performances. Nigel in the multi, man, this kid's coming in just kicking teeth, and he's just a competitor. We have some guys who do show up and get things going, and Lucas and Dorman, this kid's looking, just smooth as all get out, and there's still an opportunity to grasp this, and it's just like this is why we do all this. It's like where kind of the chip's going to fall, and Friday it's everything. We go into the 15. The 15 is the men's 1500 is the event. There was more people watching that in particular event than any other event. You have Sylvia. This kid is a stud. I mean, he is just absolutely a stud. Luca's a stud. Yus is a stud. On paper, we're 2-3, but I know that these guys are ready, and we're kind of calling our Alberto Salazar moment. Before we found out the guy's kind of a creepo, but like the 2012 Olympics in London, you have Mo Farah, you have Galen Rupp. He's coaching both these guys. They go 1-2 in the men's 10,000 meter final. It's like that's just the odds of that happening. Like you got two guys on the most important day and the most important meeting. They go 1-2 and the same guys coaching them. That's remarkable. And to have Luca and to have Yusuf go 1-2 and have Sylvia. He made the meet. Honestly, I was talking to Dr. Temple today as I was driving in. It's like this guy made the meet exciting. Like we cannot overlook just the impact that this young man had on the meet and in these particular events. But that changed everything. We go 1-2, and man, I'm on my phone in the calculator, and I'm calculating points right then and there. And I'm looking at Marion, I'm looking at British Columbia, and it's like, okay, if this happens, if we're able to add this, if this is subtracted. We have Tristan in the pole vault. This man on paper is not scoring anything. He jumps out of his mind. I mean, almost 20. He's jumped 490. He jumps 505. He hadn't jumped anything over 485 this year. And he jumps 505. He goes from not being on the podium to finishing fourth. I mean, it's just a huge accumulation of points that we start to add to it. And then it comes down to the 4x4. And we do the math, and it's just like we don't have a 4x4 in the final. If Marion wins this thing, they win. If they're second, they tie. If they're third, we win by 2. And on paper, I mean, they're probably maybe the 6th best team going in. And I'm telling our coaching staff, I'm like, guys, they're going to give this thing everything. They're not going to finish 6th. I can tell you that right now. And they finished 3rd, and they're like 200ths or 2/10 of a second from second. And it was probably the most exciting 4x4. And we didn't have a team in it, but just to watch, because I know that team, Marion, knows exactly what these guys have to do. And I'm not even cheering for the 1st or 2nd place team. I'm just watching these young men in all these other programs just give it everything they've got. Some people know what's on the line for their program and for our program, and others have maybe no clue. It's just like, man, I'm in the final. I'm going to run as fast as I possibly can. And I just remember watching it in awe. I was like, man, if they win, I'm going to be upset, but I can't be disappointed. And I think you can have those two things at the same time, because we did everything we possibly could. And these guys, I mean, they were giving everything they had. And yeah, it ended the way it did. And the first thought I had, and we have a video, like I shot straight to my wife. I mean, the biggest supporter I have, and the reason I'm able to do this, she's there. Our kids are there. Like, she literally picked them up the last of school, and they drove up and to be with us. So I'm just straight line to her, hugging and embracing. And then it's like, okay, let's hug the other coaches and athletes. And then I want to find the director of Marion and just, man to man and coach to coach, just have a real quick handshake and conversation. And I walk a lap around the track. I used to do this in college after every single workout. Huge Michael Johnson fan. He broke the American record and world record in lane 3. So every single workout I would get in lane 3 and just walk a lap and pray. Usually talking about my relationship with Misty. We dated through high school and college. The workout that I did that day, or the workout that was coming up, is just a lap with nothing but just Jesus. And then I found myself lane 3, just walking. And it was a simple prayer. It was just me repeating, I don't deserve this life that I have. And I get to the very end of this lap, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to go celebrate with the team and stuff. And man, I felt the Holy Spirit grab me, and it turned my head left. And on paper, there's a young man from Marion. He's favored to win the shot. Okay. You win the shot, that's 10 points. He finishes second. You do the math. We win by 2 points. And this is a big old man. He's a big old man. And you can just see that he is visibly just crushed. Like, you can tell body language, like he feels he has ruined this for the entire program. And man, we win and lose the accumulation of the men and women of the programs. But man, this man he's taken it on himself. Never spoken to him. But I feel the Holy Spirit just say, you need to go talk to him. And I'm like, he doesn't want to talk to me right now. He doesn't want to see anything that has Cumberland's logo on it. He doesn't know me, and he is 3 times the size of me. I'm like, this is not going to end well for me. But I feel the Spirit just like, man, you need to go, because that could have been you. I'll walk over to this guy. I said, man, you probably don't want to talk to me at all. You don't want to see me. I said, but I know you're hurting. And I'm not going to even say sorry. That's not going to fix it. But I said, man, I feel the Holy Spirit attacking me, encouraging me, provoking me, telling me I've better do this. And it's just saying, I need to pray for you. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. I just grab him by the shoulders, and I just start praying with this kid, trying to find the right words to just give him strength, give him courage, give him a sense of peace and understanding, and to allow the Spirit to just kind of speak through me. And I don't even know what I said. But man, I know afterwards we said amen, and I'm a hugger, like you guys know, but this kid gave me the biggest hug, and man, it's just like my heart hurt. We won, and this is this is something that I've dreamed of. It's like, Len, this is super awesome. But then I look over and I see this kid and it's just young man, and it puts everything in perspective. Is like, does does someone have to lose for someone to win? Um, and can we be beyond track and field and competition, and man, just have sympathy and understanding, and my heart hurt for him as much as I was excited and I wanted to celebrate, and how much this meant to me. I looked over and I was like, man, that could have been me. Very, very 2 points. That could have been me. And this guy is feeling the weight of the world on his shoulders. And man, I wanted to hug him and let him know he wasn't alone. And he wasn't alone. And he got a lot of coaches, a lot of support, a lot of people there. But just to let him know that it just wasn't Marion athletes and coaches and staff that saw that. And man, that's the thing that probably stands out the most. The banner and the trophy and the national, all this stuff was super cool. And watching those two guys in the 15 and Tristan elevating and Nigel elevating our women's sport, that moment with that young man who is quote unquote my enemy, and he's not, that probably stands out the most. And that was kind of a really unique way to solidify just these 3 days of intense ups and downs and trying to keep it together and hanging on. And man, we've got it to like, is bigger than a me.
Coach, that was powerful, sir. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for the humility that you don't hear that. You don't hear a coach just won their first national championship. I know it's your second, but you just won your first outdoor. You told the AD, everyone knows, hey, if I don't win this in 4 years, I'm gone. You would think you'd be running laps with your shirt around your head, telling the other coaches, we did it, we did it. But the first thing you do, you walk your lap and you go and you embrace a gentleman from another team. That is powerful. I really don't know what to say. I don't know if you had something, Rich, but that kind of took me back. I didn't expect that, and that's the beauty of sports. Sometimes it brings the worst out of people, but sometimes you get a moment like that, and you really showed us with what you just said about how important God and your belief is to you, how it just kind of you allowed it to take you over and go embrace a gentleman from another team. We lost him.
He'll be back. Yeah, that was pretty powerful. It was pretty powerful. I was gonna ask him, just from the clips that we've seen, he's pretty animated, and you've seen me as a young buck coaching, and I was pretty intense and pretty animated, and I know sometimes that got under a lot of people's skin. So I was curious. He's back.
Hey, there you are. Man, I apologize. I live out in the sticks, and sometimes Wi-Fi can be a little off. If I need to, I can jump on my phone if that makes things easier for you all. You just tell me what to do.
Oh, you're good.
I
You're good.
think we're good right now. But yeah,
Okay.
thank you for sharing that, Rich. Share with Coach what you just shared with me.
Coach, I was going to ask you before you told us what you told us, from the clips that we've seen of you, you're pretty intense and you're pretty animated at the track meets. You have a huge presence and aura about you. And when I was a younger coach, I was pretty intense and I get into it similar to how I see you get into it. And I know that at times can rub other coaches or other programs the wrong way. Um, and I was curious, do you have that? Obviously, with sharing that story, probably not. But I was curious: is the word out in the NAI that that's Coach Sowder? He gets into it.
Uh, well, I would say I'm the most hated coach in all of NEI. If you go to any message board or anything of such, and that's fine. Um, we're looking to turn the NAI upside down and rearrange, and that makes people uncomfortable. I will say that um, so they give you a name tag with a lantern, and I can't stand those things. I can't have it hanging around my neck. And indoors, I didn't wear one, and I was like, man, I hope I don't have to carry this around or whatever. And somebody within our team, he joked, he's like, I think everyone here knows who you are. I think you're going to be okay if you don't have your name tag or your official, badge or whatever. The outdoor season though, it was a little bit more. there was more head nods and handshaking and people coming up and introducing themselves. I think the indoor, I think there's a little bit more of a assumption of like, okay, like they got lucky and they'll never do this again. And then I think people started realizing like, okay, this program is for real. This coach is for real, and they're going to back up anything they say they're going to do, and we need to understand that. And that sounds arrogant, but that was kind of the tone that I got from a handful of people. There's still people who won't talk to me, the other coaches within the business, and they're standing side by side with me, and that's fine. You know, I get all that. You either love me or you hate me, and there's no in between. But you know, it's I think a lot of not that I'm trying to be seen, but a lot of people see us and they see me. I've got to be careful because I had a young man within the program. He's like, man, I don't think you understand the impact of your emotions and your body language has on this team. He's like, we know when you're upset and you're disappointed, and we don't know necessarily how to handle that. And I said, well, I'll be honest, immaturity, I don't know necessarily how to handle that. And so, you know, the number one thing people always say is like you always look mad. I said I'm not mad, I'm focused. And I'm always, I mean, Anthony Thompson, he's the GEMS coach. Now he's the new director at Lindsey Wilson, but he's the GEMS coach at Campbellsville. I think it was Thursday. He passed me. He's like, you're thinking. He's like, you'll get it figured out. I said, I always do. But he's been around me enough because he's in conference with us. Is just like I'm processing and I was figuring out calculating points and how can we pull this off and how can we do this, and you know, where's the young men and the young women's, like where's their minds at, how's their attitude, how's the bodies reacting to the heat and the weather and humidity, and I'm taking all this stuff in, and what's these other programs doing, and what's that coach looking at me that way, and I'm just analyzing it all, and I wear that on my sleeve for sure. And I'm not very good at hiding it, and I don't think I should hide it. But I don't think the program is so young, and we've only just been at this for just 2 years now, that some people don't quite understand. They're like, man, you're just different at nationals. It's like, guys, 99% of our goals are happening here. Like this is big. That's the reason there's tears. That's the reason there's yells, and that's the reason there's so much exhaustion afterwards. Like this means everything to us, this program, myself, my family, all of us. And I think people within the NAIA track and field, cross country in particular, they see that. And they might not understand it, but I think some people are really starting to respect it. Might not agree with it, but they're respecting it. And yeah, so it's very refreshing and very rewarding, honestly, to have other coaches come up and man, I want to introduce myself, and I've obviously seen what you've done and seen what the program's done, and yeah, that means a lot. And you know, as I said, this is who we are, and this is where we are, and we're going to keep pressing forward. So we're just starting.
Well, talking about just getting started and keep moving forward, I saw you posted you got some new recruits coming in, one on the men's side, one on the ladies' side. Talk about them a little bit.
Yeah, so these two individuals, and actually was working full disclosure to try to get them in January, and just didn't work out, and they actually ended up at a JUCO school. You know, the young lady's JUCO National Athlete of the Year indoors, and his mom is phenomenal as well. And they messaged me and just said, hey, you know, we're looking for a change, and yeah, I'm thrilled to have them and have them coming our way, and get to work with them, and just get to know them honestly. And we've got some others, just not to give everything away yet, but we've got some others is just waiting for the right time to kind of announce and show what all we're doing. It's something that's constant. You know, once I think we're maybe at a point, it's like, okay, this is going to be the things change, and we find an inside scoop where we you know, we have a connection some sort, and it's like, yep, we can make that work. We're going to bring them in, and we got to be ready. You know, I think you're talking about the NAI. It's we're not going to go anywhere. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Like we're for real, and we're going to continue to move in the trajectory that we're working towards and we're working with, and if I'm on the outside looking in, and this sounds pretty brass, but it's like, what are you doing? And that's where my mind's at. It's like if I'm another program and I'm seeing them and I'm taking stock, like, okay, these men and women are they're doing pretty darn good. And this coach is very adamant that, okay, we're here and we're going to continue. And I've got some pretty lofty goals for myself and for this program and for the men and women of this program. And I respond to that. And that's what I'm kind of analyzing. I think some people think initially it was like, oh man, I've been doing this for 20 years. I've seen a lot of people come in, a lot of people go out, and it's just kind of short lived. But then you start to see, like, back-to-back titles. That's a rarity. And we're a very, very young team. And so, I think if some people are really surveying this program, they're thinking, okay, this isn't just luck. This isn't just one and done. This is for real. What are we going to do? And you're going to have two people. You're going to have somebody who's just like, well, man, we're just going to keep doing the same old, and they're going to be okay with okay. Ooh. And then you're going to have other people who are like, okay, we're going to have to make some adjustments if we want to compete with this program and keep up with these men and these women. And you get some other people who we're chasing, and they're thinking, okay, if we keep doing what we're doing, we're going to run out of real estate. And so we had to kind of revamp what we're doing. And that's exciting. I mean, to maybe make some people nervous, who've kind of been on that top echelon for several years now. And I say this all out of respect. It's like, man, I want them looking at us. I want them concerned. I want them meeting, next week as a staff, and like, all right, guys, these guys are for real. How are we going to counter whatever they're bringing? So that's where we're at, and that's where we're like, you have no idea. You have no idea what else we have in the making, and who we have coming in, and what all that we are forecasting to accomplish. And I'm excited for that.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was the first time since 2016 that a team went indoor-outdoor champs.
I think it's sometime around there. Yes, I think you're correct. And
Yeah.
that was kind of a surprise to me. And again, my college coach, I mean, he coached for several years in the NAI, and was very successful, and has followed not only our program, but the NAI and other programs. And so he and I were talking about it. It's like, man, I thought surely, that seems too long ago. There's so many good programs that they could have won indoor and, quote unquote, like, come back and won outdoors. But I mean, it's such a completely different animal. Like, you really can't compare indoor and outdoor. I mean, just a series of events. The weather obviously is unpredictable outdoors, and you'll have some programs that are more suited for outdoor. Like I said, Marion, like, I'm looking at Marion on paper. This team is more suited to win the title outdoors. Like, they're going to be more of a threat outdoors. And then too, you throw in, like, to keep it going. I think that's the thing that's really remarkable about the program and about this year in particular. Like, I mean, we'll speak of the men for a second. Like, we finished third in cross. We finished first indoor and outdoor. Like, just and a lot of the key components were the same athlete. And that's a long year to stay locked in and dialed in and focused and healthy, and keep, your goals in this program and track and field in general just as a priority. Um, you know, our ADs was nobody's on campus now, and with indoors, like, we had to escort, with police, and we had this huge pep rally and gathering stuff, and he's like, man, we're not going to be able to do that. No one's on campus and blah, blah, blah. I was like, Chris, honestly, these women, they're tired. They're exhausted. They want to get home, take a hot shower, eat. And a lot of them are flying home or going home. They just want to be home. They're mentally and emotionally, they're done. And I think that was one of the most remarkable things, is that they could stay locked in and focused for as long as they did. And we found unique ways to kind of turn it off and on, and this, but even for the coaching staff, just it's a long year. I mean, I tell people all the time, like, we're in season 10 and a half months out of the year. There's no other sport that can say that. And so, you have some teams that, man, they'll have a really strong indoor season. And it's like, but man, it took so much out of them. that they're maybe not there during the indoor season. Or man, cross country, there's so much talk in the cross country, and it's like just the emotions and the roller coaster and all this stuff. Man, it takes them the next 6 months to kind of bounce back from that. And that's something that I think was really remarkable with both the men and women. I mean, the women ninth, sixth, the men third, first, and just to have a majority of the men and women throughout the entire year be a part of this and stay locked in was special, honestly, and very unique.
With all that being said, how often do you think about the Triple Crown?
Every day, every day. Listen, as brass as I was about, hey, give me 4 years to win a title, or you can fire me. The ultimate goal, and um, I want to win all six in the same year. And to my understanding, to my knowledge, that's never been done on any level, Division I, II, III, or NAIA. And so the most challenging one, and not to say that any of them are not going to be challenging, they all are. In the outdoor women's title, British Columbia right now, they're working with a freaking factory over there of just powerhouse athletes. Like I'm watching them last year. First time I ever seen this team. I'm hearing like, yeah, outdoor British Columbia, British Columbia. I'm like, well, let's see. Like, people talk and maybe they exaggerate a little bit. I'm sitting at the outdoor meet and I'm watching this factory of a program and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I mean, so dominant and so good at every discipline, every aspect of a track and field program. Like I'm just admiring the athleticism and they got a freaking army coaching staff. It's just like I'm watching them and it's like, man, that's super cool. And now we're in the thick of things where we can compete and be top 10 on the women's side. And I'm starting to see things. So now I'm really looking at analyzing and studying this program. And then here comes their head coach. We're watching the men's 5,000 and we got kind of this coach's box. And I've never met this guy before. And he comes up and he's like, so you're Coach Sowder. And you're the guy who is going to make my life really, really hard because I want to win all six in the same year. And that women's outdoor title, man. And that's not to knock the other programs. Again, I've said that last time I was talking to you guys, Indiana Tech have mad respect for these guys. William and Carey have mad respect for these guys. When I say guys, I mean women and their coaching staffs. Is British Columbia, they're on an island by themselves. And I wake up and I'm British Columbia. I've never been there, but I am thinking about them nonstop. And what do we need to do as a program? What do I need to do as a director? What do we need to do as a university to get prepared so we can start chasing them and respectfully go after them and beat them. And then, oh yeah, if we're going to do all six in the same year, stay healthy, stay happy, make sure the men are where they're supposed to be. And this all starts in the fall, because if we don't win in the fall, there's not going to be six to take in 1 year. But ultimately, when I got back from the indoor nationals, the president wanted to see me, our president at Cumberlands, Dr. C, and he said, man, that didn't take very long. I said, well, the ultimate move is to win all six in 1 year. And he's like, well, how about you take a day off every now and then? I said, I will take a day off when we win all six in the same year. But until then, it's go, go, go. Again, I'll take a break for the family and again, my wife doesn't ask for a whole lot, but she's like, I got to have a week during the summer. We're going to the beach with or without you. And I need to be there for that. But, the rest of the time, and it's what do we need to accumulate? Who do we need to recruit? Who do we need to have within this coaching staff? Who do I need to surround myself by and with to win all six in 1 year? And so we're just getting started, and that is the driving force behind every single decision, every single action. Since winning the first one, it has been within my day-to-day operations.
Coach, the desire and hunger, I can feel it through the screen. I can't believe you just had the year you had. Coach of the year, indoor, outdoor. Not too shabby in cross country either. Most coaches would already be on that beach with their feet up, but you're already thinking, we need all six. I won't stop till we need all six. And you talk about some of the athletes that are coming in from the JUCO ranks. Now we know NAIA has different rules, and we know you guys are turning NAIA on its head. That said, I don't think there's a transfer portal. So you might have some Division I coaches poaching some athletes. Like Rich told me that you have an athlete who is a national champ who might be leaving you guys. I believe is going to a Division I school. How do you counteract that? And is that oh, we got to protect these guys, or is that a good problem to have?
So, man, it went kind of blank there for a second. So I apologize, but I'm gonna have to ask you to repeat that so I can answer it.
So
Sorry.
Rich told me that you have an athlete that is going Division I. He was a national champ for you.
Yeah,
And we
yeah.
know you guys don't have the transfer portal like they do Division I. So Division I coaches can come and just scoop your guys up. How do you protect that to keep building? Or is that a good problem to have knowing, hey, you come here and you have bigger and brighter things you want to do? We're gonna get you there. We're gonna use you for when you're here and you're gonna win for us. And then yeah, watch out, the sky's the limit.
Yeah. So we actually have two going Division I. Lucas Santorin is going to Texas A&M, and Gustav Bennett's going to the University of Louisville. About halfway through the indoor season, I actually had a good friend of mine who's a Division I coach message me. He's like, "Man, I don't mean to, I hope this doesn't hit you wrong, but he's like, how do you expect to keep all these guys?" And I said, I don't. Not that I have intentions when I recruit these guys that they'll go Division I. Like Lucas and Torment, he was a 158, 227,000. He was like a 403, 1,500 meter runner when I recruited him. Nothing said D1 about him. Gustav Bennett, he was a 1547 and a 407, 1,500 meter runner when I recruited him. Nothing on paper said, hey, this kid's going to run 345 and 1412. Nothing on paper said Lucas Centurion was going to run, 341 and 221. And, when we showed up in cross country, we have a 2 mile time trial at the beginning of the season. This kid shows up in a white cotton t-shirt and a pair of Laker basketball shorts. And I was like, okay, like, he might be top 10 for cross. And he goes out and wins the 2 mile time trial. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, that's crazy. But then when he went 406 indoor earlier on, I knew, okay, there's going to be D1 schools looking at him. And love to keep them. I'm not looking for one and done athletes. I'm looking for athletes to be here all 4 years or 5 years and graduate from the University of Cumberlands. But I'm a realist, and they're running real times that pique the interest of Division I coaches. And I tell the men and women of this program, listen, like, we're in the business of taking daydreams and making them real day events. And if you have a daydream that exceeds the accommodations and the ability that I may or may not have here at Cumberlands, or Cumberlands itself may or may not have, be upfront and tell me. I would be doing you a disservice, and I would be hypocritical to say, like, if you tell me that, well, hey, we're done. Where if you bring it to my attention and it's a legitimate reason, hey, man, this school's approaching me, or this is what I'm looking for, and we don't have this. Like, we had two Kenyans in the fall. A lot of people are like, man, Sowder's just going to bring people in and get rid of them. Okay, we had two Kenyans in the fall. They wanted to be nurses. Our F1, I-20, whatever visas does not allow internationals to study nursing at the University of Cumberlands. There's other schools that do. We don't. They came in with the degrees of computer science and exercise science. And in 3 weeks from when they arrived here, they said, hey, we want to change our major to nursing. I'm like, cool. I didn't even know we didn't allow it for international students. And then they find out, hey, we can't be nurses here. And so then they're like, we want to be nurses. And I understand that. As an international student from Kenya, nursing, man, you got job security there, and you possibly have job security here in the United States. And so, all right, guys, tell me what you're looking for. Let's get to work. Worked with them. Same thing with Lucas Santorum and Gustav. They brought it to my attention. I mean, Lucas Santorum's from Rome. Williamsburg, Kentucky is not Rome. And he's super talented. He's got a lot of interest. I said, Luca, understand, I want you to be here. I love the guy. But if this is not where you want to be, and that's what you want to pursue, allow me the opportunity to help you. And so, he would bring to the table, hey, these are the schools that are, reaching out to me, or this is the school that I'm interested in. And I would give him pros and cons lists. I would be very transparent. Like, hey, I know this coach, they're phenomenal. Or, hey, this coach, like, I don't know if that's going to work well with you, or, academically or socially and all these other things. Same thing with with Gustav. Heck, both these guys, they're like, Coach, here's my contract from the school. Will you read it to make sure I'm getting what they're saying I'm getting? And so they were very transparent. I'm very transparent. Like, there's no hard feelings to these guys. I absolutely am pumped that these two guys have this opportunity. Would love to have kept them. But I'm going to be their biggest fans. Lucas Centurium, he's going to Texas A&M. He's going to be, I think SECs are at the University of Kentucky next year. He's like, Coach, I'm going to be right up the road. I was like, brother, that's 45 minutes from my house. I will be there if I can to watch you. I might not be wearing Texas A&M gear, but I will be there to watch you and cheer for you. Gustav at the University of Louisville, that's 45 minutes from my house. He and I've kind of chatted as long as, Joe at Louisville's cool. If I'm home for the weekend, I can drive to Seneca Park, which is right off campus, and meet up with Gustav and run with him or catch him for coffee. And we race a lot in Louisville. I was like, Gustav, you better be ready to give me a hug when I see you. So I'm really, really proud of those two guys. And it just is what it is, and I own that. We're looking to bring in D1 talent. We're looking to keep D1 talent, but that's not always going to happen. There's maybe I'm getting too far ahead of myself, but there's a lot of conversations about Yusuf. Yusuf is D1 talent. And, someone made a comment the other day, man, he's got a lot of people who follow him, a lot of D1 coaches who follow him. I think Yusuf is going to stay put, and I really do, because he and I talk about it quite a bit. But if he feels like there's something better for him out there and he wholeheartedly feels that way, who am I to stop him? And again, I'm not saying I want that. I don't want that at all. Yusuf is family. All these guys are family, but Yusuf is family to me. But at the end of the day, we can only control what we can control, and I can only offer what we offer here. And I think what we have is really, really special. But sometimes people are maybe looking for a bigger city setting or, SEC. It doesn't get any bigger than that. And yeah, it just is what it is. And so I will support them the best I can, but that's not what we're looking to do. We're not a feeder school. We're not a JUCO school where you're here for 2 years and you go somewhere else.
I think we might have lost him again. I was going to say, I haven't been to College Station, but I have been to Rome. Curious to see what I've seen some clips too where he's doing like lactate threshold, or he's doing the finger pricks, check their blood for lactate. Curious I don't remember if we asked about double threshold with him or not.
I think he might have brought it up because he talked about, is it Ron Mann? And he talked about the University of Northern Arizona.
So those are some big improvements in a year with those two guys.
Yeah, that's wild.
But that was a big thing at Monmouth when they brought in the girl to do the lactate testing. That's when you start to see those guys like Ford and Allie and Dylan start to really perform.
He's back.
There you go. Coach, yeah, I don't know what happens there.
All it's good. Right.
Coach, I was going to say I have never been to College Station, but I have been to Rome. They're definitely not the same.
No, they're not. And hey, full disclosure, man, like I picked Lucas Santorium up from the airport after his visit. I mean, this kid's been completely transparent with me, and the coaches, both coaches, Wendell and Joe, went about it the right way and approached me and asked if they could approach the students. And I mean, when I actually informed Luca that Texas A&M was interested in him, I was like, man, you're never going to believe who's interested in you. And I knew that the list of schools that were reaching out to him. I was like, he's like, Coach, what do you think? I mean, it doesn't get any bigger than Texas A&M, and I know the coach personally, and you're going to be taking. That was my main thing. Like, if they're going to go somewhere else, are they going to be taken care of? Like, these are my guys, and I love them, and I felt good about that. And when he got back, he was showing me pictures of his visit and telling me different things. And both of them messaged me like, Coach, I can't thank you enough for what you've done. And Luca's like, in particular, he's like, Coach, I didn't think I was going to go anywhere with track. Like, it was kind of just a hobby, and you found something in his words, not mine, but you found something in me that I didn't even know existed, and brought it to the surface and gave me a reason to pursue this. And look what it's doing now. He's like, man, I'm going to Texas A&M. I'm like, holy crap. And same thing with Gustav. He's like, Coach, when you recruited me and signed me, I was a 1547 guy. I'm running 1412. Like, you told me I could do this, and now I'm doing this. And again, I'm very little of this. He's the one doing the work. You know, when he ran, when he went 407 for the mile, we both kicked back and just laughed because that was his PR for the 1500 last year.
That's wild.
And he's like, man, I'm running the full mile. He's just like, just in a year, the transformation that this program cultivated in these two guys and others, it's remarkable, man. It's really, really remarkable.
I'm curious with those guys and all of the distance crew. I've seen some posts too where you're doing some finger pricks and doing some lactate testing and stuff.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing that, and how beneficial is that? Because I know when I went to Monmouth University and they started using I guess it was a doctor who was doing the testing for them, and they've had some good middle distance runners that have come along since they've done that. Allie Wilson, who's now one of the top 800-meter runners in the country, she's in Indiana, but I know that that was very beneficial for the coaches there in the program. How long have you been doing that, and how beneficial has it been in terms of giving kids the right time domains to hit when they're doing their
Yeah, yeah,
intervals
yeah.
and the threshold training?
So with the actual testing, lactic testings, this was our first year. I bought
Okay.
two different ones to kind of see which one we liked. You know, the kind of the theory is like, don't change more than 10% each year. I like to be that guy. I'm going to say like, we're going to change 17.3 just to be different than everybody else. And last year, our assistant coach now, James, I was coaching him, and of course, double T threshold started becoming kind of the buzzword. And he was like, "Hey, coach, I think I want to try this." And you know, mathematically, scientifically, for him individually, it made sense. He, man, really thrived with like the longer stuff, half marathon, marathon, and just that aerobic capacity. And we actually started it right at the start of the outdoor season. And I'd never done it before, but I was open to it. And you know, we would run every single Wednesday together. And I mean, just this is why I hired the kid, because he wanted to be a coach and he wanted to understand the science behind it. And so we were looking at these things. And Luca Medeo, he's coming from Germany. He's got like 3 years of double T threshold training underneath him, and it's becoming more popular, and I'm more open to it. And it's like, man, I think the science behind it. Again, Coach Ron Mann, he and I over the summer we're talking more about it too. And you know, curious with like what Mike Smith's doing out at NAU. And so yeah, we had a handful of guys started in the fall, not everybody, and then we had a few guys started in indoor season, and you know we're going to have quite a few guys do it this summer and fall. But it was more, I mean, you're seeing people like do the lactic testing, and Luca Medeo and a couple of Alina and Sherva, they had done it with Ukrainian Federation as well, and different things. And uh, it was like, okay, we need to get this. And Jacob Thompson from, you know, Under Armour out at Dark Sky, out at with Stephen Haas and all those guys. I messaged him quite a bit. I was like, hey man, like, you know, what do you see guys out there using? And he gave me the number to the exercise physiologist that works with him.
I think we lost him again. Getting right into the meat of it.
Yeah, just remember we lost him at the.
I think I mean, I got all summer. I think I'm gonna have to start doing some double T training here.
I was gonna ask you if you've ever played with it, and I don't know if I told you, but I asked you the other day, but I also had to Google it because it's been coming up so much since we've been talking to some of these top tier programs.
I was curious too, if like, if it's a 24-hour window, if you could do a threshold workout in the evening and then come back early the next morning, and if that still counts.
Does that count?
I got a question. Keep going. What you just left off. You were talking with Stephen Haas and some of those people out there, what they were
Yeah.
doing.
So you know, talking to Jacob and seeing Stephen Haas and asking them like, hey, what are you seeing the guys do out there? And Jacob actually got me in contact with the exercise physiologist who does the testing with the Dark Sky group out there, and had like a 45-minute conversation with this guy. Like, man, I think I know what I'm doing, but you've done it for much longer than I have, and so some do's and don'ts, and then I started going, and being obviously safe with it all, gloves and all this stuff, but started testing and really honestly like didn't learn anything. We're kind of trying to find that 1% within the 1%, but it just gave us more data and kind of solidified, okay, we know what we're doing. At the end of the day, like the best data that we can pull from, or the best source of data is, man, what is this athlete telling me? They know their self better than anyone else. And so what are you thinking? And especially Luca Medea, like we started laughing quite a bit because it's kind of a joke. Like this kid could tell you, hey, this was my, BPMs per session. This was my MMOLs per the session. Like the kid was so dialed in and locked in. He knew exactly what his body was producing per pace. And so it became another piece of data that we could use. And again, if we're trying to find that 1% within that 1%, like if we're going to be that precise, which we want to be, couldn't this separate us from the rest of the field more or less? Man, we wanted to do that. But the biggest, greatest source of data that we can get is, hey guys, hey ladies, how are we feeling? What's your body telling you? And really analyzing on that. On top of that, let's take heart rate, let's take lactate levels, all these other data points that we can take, because I'm a spreadsheet geek, and so we're putting all this data into charts and analyzing, but ultimately it's like, yeah, coach, that felt really, really smooth, and that felt really, really fit, and dang, I feel really, really fit. When they're telling you that, our biggest thing, our saying is like, you look like you're falling asleep. If we're in the point where I'm yelling at a workout, like, guys, you look bored, you look like you're sleeping, and they're running 5K race pace for 1,000 meters, for 1K reps, we know we're in a sweet spot. If they're smiling, I've got a young man, Caleb Rigney, like if this kid looks like he literally like he's going to fall over at any minute, man, we know he's really, really fit. If Luca Medeo is looking at me and he's just kind of yawning, if they're smiling, just body language is the biggest thing. If Gustav, like he has just this beautiful smile, if he's just in the middle of a session, 2K reps, and he's smiling, man, I know we're fit. Luca Medeo or Lucas Santorum is very vocal. He's just like, coach, easy, like so ready to go. And we have that type of dialogue and that relationship. These guys they're not going to pull any punches. The women, Lizzie Lucas and men, like I'm always like, you're not supposed to be smiling. You're supposed to be hurting. She's like, coach, I'm fit, because she just has this smile. I mean, we could draw blood all day long, but yeah, she's telling me what I want to see and need to hear as the coach, and that the athlete's really, really fit.
I'm curious, Coach, with the double T training, is it always AM PM? Have you ever experimented with a PM and then an early AM session? Have you played around with that at all? Or is it
Yeah, so we
just go ahead.
So that when we're in season for double T, typically we'll have, no joke, we'll have usually like on a typical workout day, we might have 12 to 14 different workouts. We're very individualized based, and between like for myself and Coach James and Coach Abriella, like we work with 70 athletes between middle distance, and race walk. And so 12 to 14 is the norm for on a typical Tuesday or a Friday. With the double T sessions, and again, we only had it's growing, and it's going to continue to grow. I mean, James was the only one last year out of a group of, I think I was working with 14 athletes at the time.
We lost him.
Double T. See how the old body holds up.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to get feedback on that, because it's kind of mesmerizing to hear people talk about it. We lost you at James.
So James was the only one that worked out of like 14 that did double T last year, and so we've added more. But we really work around class schedules. If you have an 8 a.m. or you don't have an 8 a.m., if you have an 8 a.m., then we're probably starting at 5:30 in the morning. If you don't have an 8 a.m., we're probably starting at 8 a.m. And then we're looking to have somewhere between 4 to 5 hours between that session and the next session. And again, that kind of works with class schedules. We'll have some young people that have an afternoon session that might start at 6 because they have the class that goes much later. And to each individual, again, I've said quite a bit about Luke Medeo. Like, this man knows what his body needs, and so he was like definitely like a 5 hour window between one session to the next. Where Alina Bosch, hey man, give her 3 or 4 hours, she's good to go again. Sheriff is really good to go again with 3 or 4 hours. We have race walkers. I got to race Cole Bennett. As far as we know, to our knowledge, he's the only race walker to ever do double T threshold. And again, we're looking at the science, the mathematical equation and the science behind it. Of basically, it's more time at threshold. If we're able to break it up, we're able to do more. In theory, like some people are like, well, why don't you do 3 sessions? Well, you could, but there does become a point, and not to write a book, but there is a point. But we started working with this young man, and he was like, Coach, I think I want to start doing double T thresholds with race walking. And I was like, this is my first year coaching race walking. And I'm like, cool, is that even a thing? He's like, I don't know anybody else who's doing it. I was like, man, the science, the adaptations, the specifics behind it makes sense. I think it could work. And, this kid he came in running, it was like high 27 minutes for a 5K race walk. He ran 22. And when I say ran, like he's running race walk 22 something. And so something's obviously working there, and he's the one doing the work. But I mean, this young man, he's doing, 60, 65 miles a week of race walk, and he's doing double T thresholds on Tuesdays and Fridays. I mean, this is a young man he's like, let's do 5 sessions in a week. And I was like, I think we're pressing the envelope right now, and that could be a possibility next year, but like we're doing quite a bit more than you've ever done before. And, but yeah, it kind of depends on the athlete, and it depends on the season, like the time of year. We're doing a double T, and maybe we're going early in the morning. It's like 3 o'clock. It's really, really hot in the afternoon. All right, let's go 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and so that opens up that window. And obviously, nutrition and sleep and all these other stress management all play a role in that as well.
I appreciate your insight and transparency with that, and with the athletes transfer and all that stuff. It's fascinating. I appreciate it, sharing all that.
Probably the most revolutionized, if I can use that word, trying to use a big word here, but we made a transition in our threshold, or double T threshold training, where maybe I shouldn't give our secret away here, but we don't know of anybody else who's doing this. And so the guys were really leery. Like, I had to like sit down, or again, they're like, Coach, we're not questioning you, but I was like, you want to talk about something? I'm pumped about this. Like, guys, what is it? They're like, Coach, we don't know anybody else who's doing this. And so here I'm in my office, and there's like 6 or 7 guys, and I got a whiteboard, and I'm explaining it to them. And basically what we started doing, we got to a point with threshold training, and I said, hey, I want to try something. And I said, guys, I'll be honest, I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm going to explain my theory behind this to them. And it was, I want to incorporate 5K race pace inside of threshold. And they're like, well, doesn't that defeat the purpose? I said, well, what is the purpose of threshold? They're like, well, we want to, have a certain amount of volume at threshold and be able to extend the volume. I said, correct. I said, guys, we're running out of volume for the duration that we're racing. The distance of the event doesn't change. It's either 3,000 or 5,000 or 10,000. I said, we're already getting up for some of them 14, 15, I would say 14 miles, 12 to 14 miles worth of threshold volume. So guys, I don't think we need to go any further than that. Again, the event's not going further than 3,000 or 5,000 and 10,000. I said, but can we incorporate 5K race pace? We have maybe possibly a small spike in our lactic levels, and then it comes back down, and we can buffer that and maintain that and kind of find that homeostasis, because that's ultimately what we're trying to find. How close can we be to homeostasis with a certain level of lactic threshold in being produced, a certain level of lactic, being produced in our body, and more importantly, hydrogen ion buildup being produced in our body. And so, like, can we elevate this, absorb that small spike, but then can we get to a point where the distance between threshold and 5K becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. And so the numbers, the ions, the lactic levels, they're not necessarily spiking, and it starts to feel very, very manageable. And so what we started doing is like a clear example, we would start doing 9 times a K with a minute rest, and every third K would be at 5K race pace. And on paper, like the first day, they thought I was like trying to kill them. They were like, Coach, we understand and we trust you. I just don't know if this is going to work. That just seems crazy. And I said it might be, but I think the payoff could be huge. And I think this is going to work because it's the science, and I'm kind of looking at it, conversation with Ron Man and a whiteboard. I literally had a whiteboard and just kind of drawing this thing out with these guys, and we're testing and all this, and they handle it perfectly. I mean, actually better than we anticipated as a coaching staff. And they're like, yeah, coach, whatever you throw at us, man, we're good with it. You don't even need to explain it anymore. And so we started kind of working some new elements, and I'm sure other people have done this. We just have not seen it. I mean, I went searching for it because I want to know, like, had someone done this, what had they maybe found to work or not work, or like, hey, warning, don't try this because you're going to fall right on your face. And we hadn't found anywhere that someone had done some stuff like this before. Again, that's no discrediting if someone's out there, man, kudos to them. They got to it before we did. But we started doing that this year, and man, there was some skepticism, and there was definitely some curiosity and a lot of concern, and I'm cool with that. If you're going to do something that maybe is cutting edge and you don't know of anybody else doing it, like that's scary. And as a coach, I'm like, man, I hope this works. On paper, it looks great, and all the exercise science content I have, and in my mind, I'm like, this should work, right? But then we go out and we do it, and the guys and the ladies absolutely crush it, and then we make some modifications.
Real awesome.
Athletes and humans in general, and we just start having dialogue, and from there we just become more persistent on that 1% within that 1%.
Well, I'm excited for cross country.
Man, and Dr. Temple got on to me about this. Like, as soon as we won the title, we knew we won it. I mean, again, I run over, give my wife a hug. He meets me there. I give him a hug. I said, man, I've already got cross country mathematically sorted. He's like, stop. He kind of jumped up. Stop. He's like, dude, you got to enjoy this at least for a day or two. I was like, I am enjoying it. I'm multitasking. That's what I told him. I was like, multitasking. I was like, I'm thoroughly in the moment and I'm enjoying it. But already in my head, I'm mathematically figuring out cross country, the pieces that we need, the pieces we have, the personnel, what we need to do, how can we take the success and just the momentum we have from cross country last fall, from track and field this year, and apply it. It's like, yeah, I'm already, I mean, I'm so ready for it. And outdoors just ended, but I'm so ready for it. I'm ready for time with my wife and kids for sure, but I'm so ready to see what these men and women can do during the fall, and the adjustments that we can make, and hopefully not screw it up. It's simple math, and they talk about it. It's like it's simple science, but it's still science, and that's the stuff I geek out over. And could I mean, we don't have enough time on this podcast to completely dive into all that. But I'm amped for sure, and just the possibility of what that everything stacks upon. We're going to take what we. Why did okay, we're going to get into it. Why did track and field, indoor and outdoor, why was it so successful for a handful of men and women? Well, man, we took what we were able to build upon during cross and build upon it. This cross country season, we're going to be able to take what these men and women were able to work with and establish physically, specifics and adaptationally, and build upon it. And so like, and the crazy thing, of freshmen, we're a lot of freshmen and a handful of sophomores sprinkled in. The team that we took to outdoor
I think we
I think we
lost him.
lost him that time.
Yeah. I didn't want to wait, say something, and then him come back, but you're back.
Yeah. No, but not to give all of our secrets away, man. Just knowing who we have coming in and who we're working to get. Um, yeah, it's we've got several pieces returning, and we got several pieces that we're adding, and it's I'm excited. I'm really just I can't wait. I really can't wait.
Coach, thank you for the inside track. Thank you for the transparency on the ins and outs of winning the championship, talking about athletes. I think you talked about 4 or 5 different conversations where athletes had to have tough conversations with you, and your door was always open. And I appreciate the double thresholds, because the more and more we're talking to the college coaches on the track and cross country scene, we're hearing about this more and more. And I know Rich is more tuned to it, but I'm more the wrestler on this podcast, so I don't know the ins and outs. So I appreciate the science behind it. Coach, we've been on way past the time we thought. We could go 5 hours with you, but we know you're home. We know you're with the family. We want to be super respectful of your time. Rich, you got anything else for Coach Sowder before we let him go?
No, Coach, it was an honor and a pleasure to have you back. And like I said, I'm fired up for cross country. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys do in the fall.
I think we might have lost him again.
He kind of looks like Lance Armstrong, a
I was
fit Tour de
thinking that
France
this
Lance
whole
Armstrong.
podcast.
That would be the last question I have to ask him. Very, very fit, like in the throes of winning 7 Tour de France's with a hat on. We had him, and I think we lost him again.
You back?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. I'm sorry about that.
No,
Okay.
you're good. Coach, last question I do have for you, and I hope you don't take offense to this in any way, shape, or form, but and it could just be the hat, but has anyone ever told you you have a striking resemblance to a very fit in the throes of winning 7 Tour de France's Lance Armstrong?
Yes.
Okay.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah.
Yes, and I laugh. I hope I can share this story and it not seem inappropriate. So I was working when Lance Armstrong was at his prime. I'm working in a running store in Lexington, John's Running Rock Shop, and I have a gentleman come in with his son, and especially around the tour, I would get it nonstop. Like, hey man, you look like Lance Armstrong. I mean, at the time, like I would have a buzz cut. I mean, I had short hair and um, he had short hair and this and that. I was like, yeah, I get it a lot, especially on the tour. And so the tour's happening. And this gentleman's son has some special needs. And he says, and I'm just gonna with the way I'm talking is how he talks. He's like, hey man, he's like, um, did you know so it started with his dad was like, hey man, you look a lot like Lance Armstrong. And I was like, yeah, I get that a lot. And the kid's like, hey, did you know Lance Armstrong had testicular cancer? And I was like, yeah, I knew that. He's like, do you have testicular cancer? I was like, no. I was like, no, man, I just look like you. And the dad was super embarrassed. He's like, man, I'm so sorry. I was like, dude, I totally like in my world, I totally get it. Like, if you look like the guy, maybe you have the guy's problems. But the best part, so we laugh about it, and I'm totally cool with it. And they're about to leave, and the kid turns around. He's like, "Are you sure you don't have testicular cancer?" I was like, "Buddy, I'm sure." Yeah. So, but yeah, I get that. I get that quite a bit. It's like, man, you look like Lance Armstrong. I was like, well, yeah, that used to be cool, but not so cool maybe anymore. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right on. Right on. Well, Coach, I guess one other question. Where do folks
Yeah,
from
man.
Kentucky go to the beach?
We
North
we
Carolina? Where you go? Florida?
we go to South Carolina quite a bit. Yeah.
Okay. Myrtle
Yeah.
Beach?
Hilton Head,
Hilton Head?
is usually our spot. It's man, I love like give me mountains and big trees and rocks and rivers and creeks or whatever. And my wife is up and she's like, give me a beach. And I'm like, what are we gonna do? She's like, nothing. That's why we're going. And she rightfully deserves to have that time of peace of mind. But yeah, that's where we head to beach, some sort of South Carolina, North Carolina, one of the others. She's always like, where do you want to go? I was like, hey, I don't care. Just tell me where I got to drive and we'll head there and have some good time together. Yeah.
Well, if you make your way to Hilton Head and you pass through Greenville, give me a holler. I'd love to buy you a cappuccino.
Oh man, that's enough for me to make a a U-turn or a off ramp, whatever, to Greenville if we have to. We're going the wrong way. Yeah. But there's coffee. So, guys, man, I again, I cannot appreciate enough your support and love and of myself and more importantly of the program. I feel like you guys were every other day posting something or saying something as we were building up to this outdoor title, and man, that helps and means a tremendous amount to myself and the program. And yeah, it caught the attention of 18, 19, 20, 21 year olds that are like, hey, who are these guys? And like, why are they showing us so much love? And I was like, well, you'll see. You need to know what's going on, and that means a lot. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I used to work for Lululemon for a long time, and they always say you want to make a customer for life. And our conversation with you and your energy in the program, you've made two fans for life. So wherever you go, or you stay put where you are, we are fans of you, and we will support you and everything you got going on. We appreciate you, your energy, your passion, your drive, your determination, and your coffee ritual as well.
Well, and I hate that we haven't done this yet. I will send you all my number because literally, I'm not exaggerating here. At the outdoor meet, I'm like, man, if I had their number right now, I would be messaging them like, guys, listen to this. Like, just some of the performances that these men and women, and just the back and forth and up and down, and are we going to win? Are we not going to win? Blah 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 blah. I was like, man, these guys, like, especially the men's 1500 or the men's 5000 or just the pole vault. Holy crap. Like, this kid is coming in, not scoring, and he finishes fourth. I'm just like, dude, they need to know about this. Like, and I found myself thinking like, why don't I have their numbers so I could just shoot them a real quick text of like, guys, we're in the thick of this, and so next time I will have your number. We'll be ready for this. We'll have it all sorted out by outdoor or cross country nationals for sure.
Heck yeah.
So,
Yeah,
cool guy.
Coach, thank you so much. Like Rich said at the beginning of this podcast, you brought him in. He hasn't been paying attention to track and field in a while. Well, I've never paid attention to college track and field, and I was following along all weekend. So I appreciate you saying you were thinking of us because we were thinking of you and sending out the vibes and letting each other know, oh, this guy just won this. They just did this. So thank you so much. This is the second of many more to come. Can't wait for cross country season. Have a great summer.
Hey guys, I appreciate it, and thank you again for just helping us put this program on a really cool platform and getting our message out there. It means a lot.
Absolutely, Coach. Honor and a pleasure. Have a great summer. Go enjoy some time with your family.
All right, guys, appreciate it. Thank you.
Take care.
care.